I got a lot of good feedback regarding O, where you can emulate player actions. And today what we're going to go over is how you take pre-written character sheets and utilize that with O, how you start with nothing and just build a character sheet using O, using no system, just using O as a rules light system. Welcome back to the channel, and this is for what I'm going to call a new series that I'd like to do, that I'd like to call A Taste of Solo. I take a supplement and a rule set and I mash them together and in some very guided solo play, see what comes out of it. Or maybe showcase some stuff that's maybe not out yet, maybe it's in beta, and give you a feel for it in solo and in play. Taste of Solo. Mwah. This is the Sacred Art of Gaming, where I've been having a ton of fun playing pre-written adventures, and I want to share some of that knowledge with you. And a lot of that is thanks to O, which unlocked a lot of stuff for me. A lot of people have mentioned in my previous video about O that Mythic can accomplish a lot of the same things, and I do not disagree with you. However, in my humble opinion, I am finding that O gets you, because O is doing a very specific thing. Mythic does so many things. I think it's easier for someone new to solo role-playing to pick up O and accomplish this, in my opinion. You've got 2d6, that's all you need. Roll on a couple tables, and you have the obvious, the option, and the odd. Pretty straightforward. Mythic, I think, not just for this, but for other stuff too, I think can be like a little intimidating. So if you're someone who has Mythic mastered, this could present an alternative, but you may not squeeze as much juice out of this. Alright, so rapid fire. Let's go through some character sheets and get an idea. This is from Savage Pathfinder, and this is a druid who has a way with animals, especially big cats. She's a beastmaster who has a snow leopard named Drugami. So that I wanted to bring this one up because this gives us an option for like a companion that we can play with. There's the gnome ancestry, that gives us some stuff to work with and stuff that a gnome does. All thumbs, not good with mechanical items, curious, and a quirk where she collects sticks from forests that she visits. So there's some really cool stuff that we can use there as traits. I mean, especially with Savage Worlds, the hindrances can pretty much just be used straight up. Druid, also similar deal. And depending on the flavor you're looking for, there's a few different ways you could word that. You could literally use just you could take these words literally. All thumbs, curious, and stick collector, I guess, if you wanted. But you could spice that up in different ways or try to generalize them if you could. Here's another character sheet. This is from Fabula Ultima. Levine Fulbright from the Press Start Quick Starter. The theme of guilt and a princess without a kingdom from the origin of Ormerica. Ormerica? Sounds a lot like America. Levine Fulbright does dark magic, has heavy weapons, runic plate. Her whole thing is using Shadow Strike, where she kind of like damages herself to do more damage or converts it to shadow damage. So just thinking about that, and then also like her stats, very strong. Being guilty, a princess without a kingdom. You could take these words literally or just further generalize those. Weight of the kingdom on her shoulders, maybe that kind of encompasses multiple things between the strength, the guilt, and the identity, if you wanted to pull that all into one. This is Augusta Byron from the Fallout starter set. Augusta's good with computers. He's a vault dweller, hacker. He's an unremarkable looking vault dweller with a brilliant mind for computer science and artificial intelligence. So brilliant comes to mind. Unassuming comes to mind. Those are two things that we could use there. This is Sir Irvain from Pendragon. This is almost like a cheat code because there's literally traits within Pendragon. So Pendragon maybe not the best example for this. You've got your passions as well. Because the system is built in, you could honestly just use this. And then you also have skills. So if we ignored traits for a bit and we went into the skills, courtesy is pretty high, flirting. So Sir Irvain maybe is the kind of knight who is a man of the people. There he is. He is a handsome fella, isn't he? All right. And then we've got from Alien, Morgan Kirsch, age 49, Colonial Marine discharge, and he's religious. He's got a buddy and a rival here. Very strong, very agile. He's got a pistol. This is someone who's like a retired veteran who's on this mission. Also a talent of overkill. When you roll 9 or higher on a panic roll, you can ignore the result and instead go into overkill. All other PCs in the same zone must make an immediate panic roll. While in overkill, you must attack your enemies on every turn. You cannot take cover, dodge, blah, blah. So yeah, this is almost like rage. So yeah, you could kind of do something along the lines of maybe with all of those years in service, maybe this affected him in some way whenever combat comes up. And maybe he's trying to find God to help. So maybe there's like a duality there. You can make traits out of those. This has been from Avatar. Joking, wild, outlaw, urban. So we straight up have the background and we straight up have the personality. That's pretty much done. We could just use that right there. But you can even go into the fighting style and the connections, different moves that he has, and you can pull on those things. Let's do a harder example. We did some pretty easy ones. So this is Starboard. If I had character traits for this character, I don't have them on this character sheet, but we do know that they're a fish-eyed ichthyoid and a smuggler with a psycho gun and a mechanical arm, smuggling hyper mushrooms. Jojo the Borg is the crime lord that they're in debt to, and there's some cool equipment that we have here. So in this case, we know that Zythat is a smuggler with high presence. So this is another situation where you could just take this and be like, yes, they're a people person. And that could be a trait. You could also take some of the stuff like the psycho gun, them being a smuggler. You could take something like who shot first if you want to be very thematic, or you could even be like daring. And you could always roll on spark tables too if you wanted to add some stuff. Twilight Sword, here's another example where we don't have a ton to go off of. We know that the character's name is Zane. Their origin is that they're a stranger. They come from a strange place. Their way is up the blade. They're a warrior. And then their kin is that they're Taluna, which is kind of like a horned humanoid that enjoys the heat. So enjoying the heat could be a trait. Them being a warrior expert with a blade, spin attack, and a physical prowess, we could utilize those to create traits with that. Strength being very high, all things that we can pull on. And you can honestly even use the origin. Now this is a sample trait sheet from the book. So this is, you don't have to use this, you could just use like an index card, you could put it on your actual character sheet, or you could even just take a mental note, put it in your solo play journal, however you want to do it. But if you want to use the system, you can. In this case, we have Bran the Warrior, who has a stocky build in his late 30s, weathered hands, and leather armor. It's a warrior battle master. This is from his class. Charismatic leader. This is from his personality. And some of that is described down here if you're wondering what these acronyms are. Grew up on a farm, background. And then legacy is the motivation. Notice this one has a square around it. Now, this has a square around it because my previous video I talked about when you double down, and if you roll doubles, that if it's based off of a trait, so like let's say growing up on a farm, maybe some farmers are being attacked, that led to this warrior who would maybe not bother, is going to drop everything that he's doing to help these people on the farm. And let's say he rolls 6s on that double down, or rolls doubles rather. Now that trait becomes a prevalent trait. So how we have empty trait, default trait, prevalent trait, and then temporary trait. There's an example in the book that I kind of spoke to in my last video with a large or huge or giant spider, not a regular spider, injured forearm from the spider bite. So this is temporary, this can go away over time. But as he continues to fight, this could become a default trait. And next thing you know, his traits are becoming filled of wounds as he continues to fight. And that's where you could use this system to do an adventure. For example, let's take Bran the Warrior, and you can download the blank character sheet now. So with no system at all, using O, let's say we go to a cave entrance. And it doesn't matter why we were sent there, but we were sent there, and there's the faint sound of goblin echoes inside. He was sent there to do a job. He's getting paid to do it. But we'll say he is injured from the spider bite. So how important is money here in this situation? We have legacy as a motivation, so I would say probably pretty important. The obvious is that, yeah, he's going to go inside and he's going to attempt to get the upper hand on these goblins. The option is that he's just going to rush in there and try and just like blitz them. And then the odd is that he's just going to walk away. Let's roll. And then here's our triple O check. If it wasn't for the spider bite, I would actually double down because of the legacy. But because of the spider bite, I feel like that kind of cancels out. So we're just going to roll 1d6. 5. So that is the obvious. He's going to go in slowly and try and get the upper hand. By the time he gets there, he sees that there is one strange goblin who is by his lonesome and kind of dressed funny too. Almost like it's trying to pretend to be a human in some ways. He is a charismatic leader, so I guess, but he also is injured. So I wonder if in this case, he may actually try and talk to the goblin. He may think that there's a possibility of being able to get some information from this goblin. I think those are things that he would consider, knowing that he's a charismatic leader, injured forearm, maybe avoiding a fight is good. Maybe even get some additional information to make this fight even better. And then also his legacy. Charismatic and the legacy, injured forearm. Maybe this is even to help farmers. Maybe the goblins have been doing that. So I think we're going to double down on this for the charismatic leader. So the obvious being that yes, he is going to go ahead and he's going to talk to the goblin. He's going to come up, he's going to approach very calmly. The option is that he tries to do like he's not necessarily like we have no reason to believe that he's a sneaky boy. We'll say he just walks up to him, challenges him one-on-one. And then the odd being like he's gonna do a sneak attack of some kind. 3 and a 6. Doubling down towards the obvious. And the obvious being that yes, he is going to go ahead and try and talk to the goblin. And this is where, like me as the GM, I'm going to say, yes, yeah, the goblin, you're right. The goblin is dressed strangely for those reasons. It's a human sympathizer to some degree. Something I'm curious about though, does the goblin give him additional information? Yeah, we'll go ahead and say yeah for the sake of time. Gives him additional information. Tells him where the goblins that are the problem are. And if he goes down this way and down the corner, there are 3 goblins arguing about this discovery, and if you take those goblins out, then the goblin attacks will end. And he says thank you very much. So then he heads down there. He sees the 3 goblins arguing over loot that's just outside of this strange tunnel, and as he approaches, he considers, so he is outnumbered here. He is outnumbered. He is a battle master. He's got a legacy, but he's got an injured forearm. We're gonna roll a single d6, I think, on this one. And we don't always have to roll. He has a sense of duty here. So would he just go out there and fight these goblins? Would he try and like maybe there's stuff around that he can just push over and drop on them? We'll say yeah. That is an option, but maybe we're unsure. So we'll go ahead and roll. The obvious, the option, and the odd. So the obvious being that he's going to try and go and be somewhat sneaky and push some stuff over from up above. The option being that he's just going to straight up go and challenge them. The odd being he may try and talk these goblins out of it. Yeah, we'll go with that. And the odd. All right. So, and what's important is to kind of I wouldn't spend too much time on this, and I know I'm kind of to give you a feeling of the system. I'm doing this for like everything. You don't have to do this for every single thing, but in this case, that's what we're doing. So he's actually going to go and he's going to try and talk to these goblins. He goes and he tries to talk to these goblins, and he says something along the lines of, listen, I don't want to come kill you, but I will. And if I don't, others will come and they will. You have to stop with the farm. You have to stop going to the farm and plundering and killing the sheep and all this stuff. Now, if you had a system on top of this system, you could roll stats on this if you wanted to. I think for the sake of argument, we're just gonna leave this here. To end this, maybe there's strange markings that's nearby down a mysteriously cold tunnel where that loot came from. And in this case, we just will not roll. And I think for him in his current situation, he's like, no, I've done my deed. I'm gonna go get paid. I'm gonna leave. All right, let me know in the comments down below if you found this helpful, what portions of it interested you the most. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed the content and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next one as we continue to explore the sacred art of gaming together.